Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Sorry for that interruption, and Blessed.
Okay, still on the new Telegraph this morning. Tragedy in Borno, Bayelsa, and the rider reads: female Boko Haram bomber kills 32, injured 48. 15 robbers rape core members in Bayelsa. 4 died, 25 injured in Ogun auto crashes. Naval rating stab woman to death. All this and more you find that on page 5 and 37 of the Telegraph newspaper. And on the top of the new Telegraph newspaper says power station short. Generation drops by 1,087.6 megawatt. And the rider reads: TCN begins nationwide load shedding to avert grid collapse. And finally, on the new Telegraph newspaper this morning, NJC drags governors to Supreme Court over power to discipline justice. Beg your pardon, judges. And page 8 has that story. And that does it for me on the new Telegraph newspaper this morning. To wrap up the newspaper tabloid review on Superdawn this morning. Okay,
we'll go on a break now. When we come back, we want to look at the challenges of nation building in Nigeria, going away from emirs and kingdom, bringing modernity into our political space. We want to look at the challenges facing nation building, what we need to do. We have a guest in the studios. We'll meet with our guest shortly. We'll go on this break, and when we come back, Superdawn will continue.
These are tips to help stay strong and healthy. Learn to do stretching exercises when you wake up. It boosts circulation and digestion and eases back pain. Studies have shown that eating a proper breakfast is one of the most positive things you can do if you're trying to lose weight. Breakfast skippers tend to gain weight. A balanced diet includes fresh fruits or fruit juice, a high-fiber breakfast cereal, low-fat milk or yogurt with wheat toast, and a boiled egg. Many people do not know how to brush their teeth properly. Improper brushing can cause much damage to your teeth and gums, as not brushing at all. Lots of people do not brush for long enough, floss, nor see a dentist regularly. Hold your toothbrush in the same way that you would hold a pencil, and brush for at least 2 minutes. This includes brushing the teeth, the junction of the teeth and gums, the tongue, and the roof of the mouth. Get your daily calcium by chugging milk or eating yogurt. It will keep your bones strong. Remember that your bone's density declines after the age of 30. You need at least 200 milligrams daily, which you should combine with magnesium, or it simply would not be absorbed. Tomato is a superstar in the fruit and vegetable pantheon. Potatoes and tomatoes contain lycopene, a powerful cancer fighter. They're also rich in vitamin C. The good news is that cooked tomatoes are also nutritious, so use them in pasta, soups, and casseroles, as well as salads. Tomatoes and apples can reduce the risk of asthma and chronic lung diseases. Both contain the antioxidant courseurin. To enjoy the benefits, eat 5 apples a week or tomato every day. We need at least 90 milligrams of vitamin C per day, and the best way to get this is by eating at least 5 servings of fresh fruit and vegetables every day. So hit the oranges and guavas. Folic acid should be...
Welcome back, where we want to look at the challenges of nation building in Nigeria. I know that nation just don't happen like that or by historical accident. It happens with when people drives a vision, the will vision, and the resolute that comes along with what we want to see. And that's why you say a nation is formed. But today we have a guest in the studios, and so we want to look at the challenges of nation building in Nigeria. We have a politician and a legal practitioner, Ladipo Johnson. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Blessed. How are you?
Very well.
We today we're looking at the challenges facing nation building in Nigeria. When we say nation building, what do you understand by that in your own terms?
Well, strictly speaking, Nigeria is made up of some 200 and something nations. You understand? Once you have an ethnic group or whatever, they're like a nation. But when we talk about nation building, we're talking about the fact that we've come together, in theory, we've come together, we formed the Federation of Nigeria, and we now seek to build a cohesive unit that will create a good standard of living, security to lives and property, etc., for a people that have come together. So we have to see where we are at as a nation, Nigeria, how far we've gone in building it, and what needs to be done, and which direction we need to go in.
What place do you think we're at right now when we're talking about Nigeria? Where do you think we are at in nation building?
Well, the Nigerian nation is set. There are grumblings here and there. But to say that, I wouldn't say that we have built it up to a stage where our people are satisfied or happy. But there's something to work on. We've developed to a certain level. We all agree that the pace has been too slow. At times you take 3 steps forward, 5 steps backwards. But yes, we have to look at a lot of things: constitutionalism, rule of law, equitable you know, the Commonwealth of Nigeria, when we talk about resources and everything, balancing it with the common good. You understand? So I've always said it's that we have to look at how we balance the Commonwealth and the common good.
Okay, quickly let me ask you, I know leadership is very critical to nation building. Now I'd like to ask you now, in this 21st century, what kind of leader should we be looking at in building a prosperous nation as regarding nation building?
Well, one is that we need, it's now a cliche, you need selfless leaders. You need people who believe in building the nation in the first place. Certain people don't believe in building the nation Nigeria. If you have people at the center of government who really are sectional people, people who are parochial in their outlook, in all that they do, these people are not the best for the country. Because you see, people will have natural agitations because we've come from different spheres, different places, different religious backgrounds. But you need someone, or you need leaders that can say to their people, where he or she is coming from, that look, no, let's be fair. This has to, you understand? You have to, at each stage, try to carry along. I hate to use that term because when politicians say carry along, is about sharing. You understand? You have to carry each federating unit, each part of that, you understand? Carry them along in such a way, it's a delicate balance, Nigeria, in such a way that majority, you may not have all at the same time, majority of people feel that you are being fair to them and that, you understand, we're all moving in the right direction. Yes, maybe things are not too fine, or yes, maybe this man is from Ibibio, you understand, but he's fair to me, you understand. So it's Nigeria is rather more complicated than quite a few other countries, that much I'll say.
Okay, but is it difficult to govern or to rule Nigeria with what we've seen so far? From 1999 up to date, is it a difficult task to fix things?
Vera.
Yes.
Have you ever run a WhatsApp group?
I have.
You've been an admin. When you tell them, please do not post so, that's when you start seeing the post. You tell people that on this platform, this platform is only for this and that. That is where you now see posts about football, about the church, about this and that. Nigerians don't listen, they don't obey. I don't know whether it is that they are not aware. You understand? So there are lots of problems.
Could it be our institutions? Could it be our rules, our laws? Why do you think we cannot obey? Why do you think we don't have that culture?
I think we have our answer to a lot of things. Even if the institution is fantastic, the rule of law is there and everything, it is the people. You understand? It is yourself, myself. We, the people, are the ones who will decide how that institution, it's people that will populate the institution. Whether it's the judiciary, whether it's the police, whether it's the EFCC or whatever, it's the people. And if I am a religious bigot and you are an ethnic bigot, you understand, and he, blessed, is so greedy, he needs to have ₦1 trillion in 5 months, then there's no matter how good the institution is, you understand, you have a problem. But if the majority of people in that institution are people who are well-bred, forgive me when I say well-bred, I don't mean that you have to know how to use a fork and knife or that you went to Harvard. I don't mean that. But people who have the fear of God in them, there again we're going to religion. But you understand? Then they will realize that what Blessed wants to do is wrong, what I'm doing is wrong, and they'll look for a way, the system will look for a way to handle that person and bring that person to book.
Now let me take it up from what you just said now, the people now and the system. How can we, well, can we create that balance whereby the people have to fit into the system and the system cannot be effective enough to ensure that when people go wrong, they can bring them in order?
Yeah, it's a very difficult one. But you see, the basic thing we always say, and we're back to it, is education. Education went out of the window, is still out of the window. The present, forgive me, I'm not attacking, the present administration has spent less than 8% on education. In fact, the 2018 budget is even less than the 2019 budget in real than the 2017 budget in real terms. So when you are not investing in education, you're not investing in your youth, you understand? What roads are you building? You understand what I'm saying? So, and then you now take it back to the family unit. And then in Nigeria, we have two main moral instructors. That is the church and the mosques. Yeah. When you take it back there, you look at the churches, there's so much corruption. You understand? In many of the places, I'm not a Muslim, so I can talk about the church. I'm sure they have their problems as well. So you look at these things and you know that, well, the child wants to get into primary school, now moves, secondary school, even secondary school, he sees his father or she sees her father or her parents going and giving the headmistress a gift or something, let alone into university, whereby even some of the parents pay to have questions for that child. And then you say that child should grow up not knowing that he or she has to know that it is only when you circumvent the system that you advance in Nigeria. So that means that that corruption that they're talking about has eaten deep into our society. You understand? It's become cancerous and it's getting even worse. Because corruption is not just taking naira or dollars. It's not just financial. If I employ only people from my tribe or whatever, it's part of corruption. You understand? So all these things are there. They have not eased. You understand? I wouldn't say they've eased even in the last 3 years. You understand? So what are we talking
looking at all of these challenges, that's why we're here today, looking at the challenges of nation building. We know that nation building has many aspects. It's about building a political entity that corresponds with a given territory and having principles, rules, norms of the society put in together. We know that's nation building. But if we're not getting this right, are you saying our leaders are not aware of all of these challenges? And are you saying, I'm going to give you two questions in one, are you saying that we cannot get people that can take up this challenge in building a better Nigeria?
Well, I think that it is relatively safe to say that most of our leaders know what they ought to do or ought to be doing. But it's easier for them, more profitable for them and their friends and family or whatever to do things the way they are doing them now or the wrong manner. So that answers your first part, the leaders. The second part is that you and I, the followership, you understand, we're even worse. I know viewers don't like to hear that. We are even worse. Because if there are 180 million of us, and maybe the approximately 1 point something million that is remaining are the leadership, look at that distance, you understand. Why is it that we cannot hold them to book? Why is it that we cannot set the agenda? Elections are coming now. Talk to a lot of young people. A lot of them don't have their PVCs. They don't give a damn. You understand? They're not setting the agenda. Some people try to, they say, oh, we want restructuring, we want this and that. Okay, but let's set the basic agendas. Is it restructuring? If you restructure, isn't it the same sort of leaders that will be in the, let's say, how would they, I don't know how it would be, the northern, what's the word, Yoruba nation or whatever, whoever will be there, even if you split into a confederacy and whatever. Isn't it the same people that will be leaders? Do the people who are not politicians have sufficient interest in government and how they are governed? Do they know, do they understand that the person who is the governor or who is the president has a lot to do with what the price of bread is, or what the price of the cost of school fees is? You understand? Yeah. Are they bothered? That is the question. I always say it. The leadership comes out of the followership. If we elect a local government chairman today and he doesn't perform, what have you? In 3 years' time, you understand, or whether it's 4 now, I've even lost track, whatever is happening.
4 years.
You understand? We should be able to say to him, oh, blessed, how are you? I voted for you last time, I'm not voting for you this time.
To his face.
Yes,
to his face.
There's nothing wrong with that. But you go on any WhatsApp chat, just make the mistake of saying, oh, I don't think, say, the president enough, or the governor has done whatever is right. Your father, your mother, whatever. That is it. We do not encourage the opposition, even as individuals, let alone the political parties or someone in government.
Okay, let me ask you this now. Democracy and the rule of law. How can our democracy system, though it's still at its nascent stage now, the role of democracy in nation building, what can you say about that?
Well, we've chosen democracy as the vehicle to nation building. We could choose to be under military dictatorship, theocracy, what have you. We've chosen democracy because around the world it seems to be thought of as maybe the best form of government that provides fundamental freedoms, fundamental rights in your coming together as a society and whatever. And and I think it's the right choice. It's good and what have you. But we must find a way very quickly, and that is no one person will do it. It must be an aggregate of people who believe that we have so many natural resources, and the most abundant resource that we have is the human resource.
Yeah.
You understand? But so far we have lacked the leadership to take us there, to develop that human resource. But more importantly, I doubt whether that human resource, as a people, as a group, has allowed itself to be taken to that next stage or towards what we would call a society that we would be proud to leave for our children, leave behind for our children. I doubt it.
Okay, when you started talking, you talk about education. We're looking at these challenges facing us, as a nation, facing nation building, why we're still where we are at, because right now, since 1999, we're still here. Looking at it, you mentioned education. What can they do with education? You said even the budget that we have, the last budget, didn't really speak well of the investment into education. What do you think government would need to do?
Well, I think you put me on the spot. I think that one of the first things is to look at the entire sector again look at those who are going to be training. You understand? How much do you spend on your teachers? You understand? These are the people who are meant to be producing the leaders of tomorrow, who are meant to produce those who will hold up this nation. You understand? And you have no investments in training teachers, in retraining them, in making their lives comfortable, etc., etc. Now, then of course you have facilities, the infrastructure, you understand? And then the issue of encouraging those who, because of the state of the economy, would rather have a 10-year-old son or daughter selling soft drinks in traffic than to push them. They can't afford. You understand? So I am not saying, I may be wrong. You understand? You just put me on the spot. I may be wrong. Personally, I'm not one who believes in free education across board based on where we are at economically. Some can afford, let them pay. But I believe that government could bring up public schools, government schools, increase and improve on their standards, you understand, to meet with the private schools. And if there is a possibility of a means test, you understand, that if you earn so and above, you can only have so and so free for your child. You understand? I'm not saying send them to private schools and then you have a dichotomy, the children of the rich go here. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. You have to have a way to look at it. You have to declare, let me be a politician, a state of emergency.
You're one.
A state of emergency on the educational sector. It's not just education. You want to bring people up, you have to spend money on, I think, 3 main things with the individual. As a health care, Medicare, education, and of course, begin to solve the housing problem. You understand? Those things go together. Bill Gates was here recently.
Yes.
And he said, if you do not invest in your people, if you do not invest in your youth, you are joking. About 70% of our budget is on recurrent expenditure. You did cutlery in the State House last year. You bring the budget again, maybe 90 million. You understand? And people don't see that. People don't talk about that. Because we're too lazy to read and look at what is happening. And would rather, having made up our minds, just listen to the publicity secretary of our own party. Say, no, you are a thief. This one says, no, you're a robber. This one says, and then that is how we continue all the way to the elections. And then we sign away another 4 years.
All right, Barrister, I'd like to add this. You've talked about human resources. And then based on what Bill Gates said when he visited Nigeria, and also he made emphasis on that as well. And I strongly believe that the wealth of any nation, it's its human resource, its people. Now, I'd like to ask you now, what can this government do in terms of building up human capacity to ensure that our nation, though growing, can live at par with developed nation?
Well, as a politician, I'll tell you that it's already too late for this government. You understand? Except you give him another 4 years, it's already too late for him. His 2018 budget, unless he wants to change things around and then go to the National Assembly again, and you understand, but it's getting too late for them anyway.
But people can learn from what you're saying now. People can learn
it's
from
not
that.
it's not just the federal.
It's not
the
federal. The states are still there.
You understand, even local governments as well. I think that we really, really have to. If I tell you, as I'm sitting now, forgive me, what's today's date?
Today's 17th.
17th of June, 2018.
So that right about it? I'm not too sure.
I think about right, yes.
Okay.
The fact is, this is 2018, so that someone doesn't use this tape in future and quote me if I'm contesting an election. What I'm saying is right now, unless I sit down and study in the next 1 to 2 weeks what we have from local to state to national, I can't tell you how messy or how the educational sector really is, but I know it isn't working. Whatever theoretical thing you say, we read in the papers about 2-3 weeks ago now, the polytechnics are going or something like, no, not polytechnics, no HND any longer, blah, blah, blah.
It's not BSc.
You know? Of course, as usual, as a typical Nigerian, I just saw it, I just glanced through. Because we've lost hope. God forgive us. You know, I just glanced through and I just thought to myself, did these people think this thing out properly? But I didn't take the extra step of going back to look at, you understand, the constituent factors. So really, they have to look at it. What do you want to achieve? I'll give you examples. The Chinese knew what they wanted to achieve. The Japanese also knew what they wanted to achieve after World War II. And they spent so much money on technical education. Someone was telling me there was a time in Spain, they ensured that for every engineer that they produced from university, they had 20 technicians. We must have, you see, education, whatever, is always geared towards something. Yeah. What do you want to do? What do you want your people to be able to do? Right now, are we just getting people through polytechnics and universities just to come out and be on the job market? Or are we training them to be the leaders in West Africa, in the West African sub-region, to compete in Africa? Are we really, is this government really thinking about making Nigeria the destination? You understand? They say it, we want investment, we want investment. Okay, why would I take my money from Qatar or Saudi and put it in Nigeria, not in Ghana? Apart from maybe religious aspects, that maybe I have a large population of Muslims. Why would I do that? So is our government positioning us? I was on a program once, and my friend, one of the comrades from the East was there, and he was complaining that government, this is just an example, government hadn't done enough in the East, blah, blah, blah. They have industries and whatever, the roads were not working. I said, fantastic. Tell me one Eastern governor in the last 8 years or whatever that has done so much, that has done enough to either market, let's say Aba for instance, who has come to market Aba and say that we can produce for you. You don't need to go to China. Come here, we can produce for you. Okay, I will do this road so that people coming in from the west, from Lagos, this road will be motorable. Federal government, you give me my money back. You understand? Who has done that? You sit down and say, okay, federal government is not working on your crime. And then your governor has maybe 300 million, some have 700. There's a state that has 1.something billion a month as, what do you call that thing?
Internal revenue.
No, not internal revenue. Security votes. Okay. You understand? What is it securing? That money is used, okay, I'm giving to, the governor will give a gift to, what's it called? So-so-so's father died. Give them a cow. So-so-so's whatever is used by governors and people like that in government just to secure themselves, a way to spend.
Paris Aladipo, are you saying we don't have leaders with will vision that can run this nation forward?
We do. We have a lot of people.
So why are we not seeing that?
Because they won't come out, because they don't have the finances to run an election, because we, the people, will demand from them. You understand that? So came yesterday. They dropped, look, they dropped 100 bags of rice. Ashoke, Ankara, oil, etc., and they put 10,000 on each one for me to give my people. For me to bring my people to you, you have to do something like that. So you see, as long as...
Are you saying we don't have men that will say, I'm not going to give you anything, I want to help out while in position?
There are, unfortunately, we're at a stage, I'm a politician, I'm out there. We're at a stage, moment you sit with someone and you start talking, you understand? within 3 sentences, that person is hinting you, says, well, if they do the right thing, then our people will consider him. I look at him and say, the person I'm talking to you about is trying to go for the presidency. You should be telling me that in our state, we need the person in the presidency to look at Lagos as an example, as a special case. The population explosion we've had, can you get him to get Lagos State special status? No one is saying that to me. They're talking to me about doing the right thing. They tell you that you know that this one is spending money. You understand? So if that continues, we the people are joking. All I have to do is package myself properly, illegally go to China, go to whatever, tell them that, look, you have all the contracts, I need $100 million. I want to contest in Lagos.
And let me ask you just 2 questions as we begin to wrap up this segment of the program. First and foremost is, you made mention of having a vision. I want to ask, why is it that current leaders that have come on board governing this nation, none has given us that vision that we can say this is where we are going as a nation? And that's one. And secondly, as a wrap up, can you itemize the challenges and also give advice on how we can solve those challenges towards nation building?
Well, I wouldn't say that a lot of people, or a lot of the leaders haven't had vision. You understand? They've had vision. Obasanjo had vision of stabilizing because he was coming in after June 12, after everything. If he didn't add other things or whatever, well, we were able to move a bit. Communication, this, that. Fantastic. Even the current president, he too has his vision. He told you insecurity, corruption, and whatever. Has he achieved it? You bought into that vision. You understand?
Yeah.
They all have. Now, whether that vision is short-sighted or long-sighted or whatever, if the people buy into it, the majority of the people buy into it, whether you add rigging or whatever, and that person is sworn in, that is his contract with you. That is what I'm saying. We do not set the agenda. We should set the agenda.
So you are saying way forward, we should set agenda.
The people of Nigeria on aggregate should set the agenda. If you say you want restructuring, okay, say what is the restructuring? For some people, it is everybody splitting. For some people, it's economic or fiscal federalism or what have you. It isn't properly defined. Some will tell you that we don't even need restructuring, what we need education. Some will tell you we need pipe-borne water. That's how bad this country is. Some places don't have water, even in Lagos. You understand? So visions are there. Now, you and I may sit down as intellectuals and say, okay, apart from that, we have to compete with Ghana. We have to compete with Angola. You understand? Then I start to set a vision. That, okay, we have to make sure that there's ICT training. We have to spend more money on the polytechnics. Do this and that, so that industry... You understand what I'm saying? Things like that. So it's not that they don't have. It is that anything goes. We, who they are selling it to, are accepting and buying any old rubbish.
So come 2019, in wrapping up this edition, we want you to reiterate those hiccups you think that we might face.
Well, I think one of the first things, very quickly, one of the first things is that the existing institutions, we plead with them. When I say that, that is the DSS, the EFCC, the police, the military, INEC, etc., etc., etc. You do not work, your oath of office is not to an individual, it is to the people of Nigeria. You understand? Yeah. When things are balanced in that way, anything is possible. The people can then develop themselves without fear of being harassed or what have you. And then we can begin to set the agenda that we're talking about. You understand? From there, hopefully, then people can talk to each other and educate themselves that you want to follow this governor, don't so he did this. By saying that, next thing you hear, someone will come and tell you it's hate speech or what have you. So people are being stifled gradually. You understand? That must stop. That must not exist. The people in these institutions must know that they owe Nigeria as a country, not any individual.
I want to thank Ladipo Johnson, a legal practitioner and a politician. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having
me. And happy holiday.
We have too many holidays, Vera. Do you know how much we've lost in how many days we've been sitting at home?
Happy holiday. Thank you so much for coming. Well, viewers at home, this is where we end this segment. Up next is Superdawn Sports, and I said it during my opening this morning that we must look at the Super Eagle. Look at what happened over the weekend, where I think, for me, the challenge was selection and where you put who. I wasn't really happy about that, but we have Prince Willoviesen and his team here. We'll go on this break. We'll be right back.